You wrote a book on the KGB spy, Bogdan Stashinsky. Can you tell his story?
This is a story of the history of the organization of Ukrainian nationalists and Bandera as well, already after the end of the Second World War. Because what you got after the Second World War, so imagine May of 1945, the Red Banner is all over Reichstag. The Red Army is in control of half of Europe, but the units of the Red Army are still fighting the war, and not just behind the Soviet lines, but within the borders of the Soviet Union. And this war continues all the way into the early 1950s, almost up to Stalin's death. The war is conducted by the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, which have a Ukrainian insurgent army, and the government tries to crush that resistance. So what it does is basically recruits local people to spy on the partisans on the underground. And Bogdan Stashinsky is one of those people. His family is supporting the resistance. They provide food. His sister is engaged with one of the local commanders of this underground unit. And they know everything about Stashinsky's family, and they know everything about him because he is also collecting funds for the underground. So they have a conversation with him saying that, okay, that's what we got, and you and your family can go to prison, or you help us a little bit. We're interested in the fiancé of your sister, and we want to get him. And Stashinsky says yes. And once they round up the fiancé, he basically betrayed a member or almost member of his family. He's done. He can't go back to his village. He can't go back to his study. He was studying in Lviv at that time. So he becomes, as I write in my book, the secret police becomes his family. And he is sent to Kiev. He is trained for 2 years, sent to East Germany, into Berlin, and becomes an assassin. So they sent him across the border to Western Germany, to Munich, which was the headquarters of different organizations, anti-Soviet organizations, Ukrainian and Russian and Georgian and so on and so forth. And he kills 2 leaders of the organization of Ukrainian nationalists, one editor of the newspaper, and eventually he kills Bandera. He does that with the new weapon, a spray pistol, that eventually makes it into the Bond novel, The Man with the Golden Gun. And that whole episode is a little bit reshaped, but it is not in the film, but it is in the novel itself. And then later has a change of mind under the influence of his German fiancée and then wife. They decide to escape to the West. And while they're doing that, they discover that their apartment was bugged, and probably the KGB knows all of that. So, a long story short, his son dies in Berlin. The KGB doesn't allow him to go there, but his wife has a nervous breakdown, so they allow him to go there to just calm her so that there would be no scandal. And 2 of them, one day before their son's burial, because that's after that they would be sent to Moscow, they jump the ship and go to West Berlin 2 hours before the Berlin Wall was being built. So they if they would stay for the funeral, probably the KGB would not let them go. But also if they would stay, the border would be there. And he goes to the American intelligence and says, okay, that's who I am, and that's what I did. And they look at him and they say, we don't trust you. We don't know who you are. You have documents in 5 names. You say you killed Bandera? Well, we have a different information. He was poisoned, and probably by someone in his close circle. A spray pistol? Did you reach too much Ian Fleming?
Mm-hmm.
Where does this come from?
Mm-hmm.
He insists. They say, okay, you insist? If you committed all those crimes, we're giving you to the German police, and German police will be investigating you. And then the trial comes, and if he takes back his testimony, the whole case against him collapses. He can go free. But he knows that if he goes free, he is a target of his colleagues from the same department. So his task at the trial is to prove that he is guilty, that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he disappears, and nobody knows where he goes, and there are all sorts of cover stories. And I was lucky to interview a commander, former chief of the South African police, who confirmed to me that Stashinsky was in South Africa.
He fled.
The West German intelligence thought that it was too dangerous for him to stay in Germany. They sent him under a different name to South Africa. So that's the story of Stashinsky himself. But going back to Bandera, of course, the fact that he confessed and it became known that KGB assassinated Bandera, that added to the image and to general mythology about Bandera.
What a fascinating story of a village boy becoming an assassin who killed one of the most influential revolutionaries of the region in the 20th century.